Welcome back to part 2 of marketing planning in the IB Business and Management course. I'm Mr. Burden, and as usual I'll be running you through this little segment. Right, we start off with marketing research, collecting, recording, analysing data about customers, competitors and the market. Reduces the risk associated with new product launches. You find out about your customers. You hopefully know where they'll be and what they want. Predict future demand changes. You can explain existing patterns of sales and market trends. Assess the most favoured designs, flavours, styles, promotions and packages for a product. Now this is typically the first thing people think of when they think about market research, is getting the product tailored to their customer, the consumer. We need to make a distinction between primary research and secondary research. IB Business and Management always test the difference between the two. So primary is simply the collection of first-hand data that's directly related to the firm's needs. Secondary research, collection of data from second-hand sources. So if you're not producing it, it's secondary. Secondary data sources. The first one we look at is government publications. The population census can tell us how big your market is growing. So if your market is a nation, government population census will be able to tell you how big the population is and how fast it's growing. It'll also be able to give you important information about different demographics within that. So it would have divvied up how many young people, how many university students, how many retired people, how many men, how many women, what different ethnicities, etc., etc. And the Department of Statistics in developed countries at least are usually a good source of secondary information. Local libraries and local government offices, different trade organisations, market intelligence reports. Market intelligence reports you are going to have to pay for. You might be able to find some information out of newspaper and specialist publications. Internal company records. And as ever, the internet. Google it. What are the advantages of using secondary data? Cheap to obtain, apart from those market intelligence reports which I said before are going to cost you. There's specialist market research companies out there that'll do this research for you, but because you haven't done it yourself, even though it's tailored specifically to your company and your needs, we classify it as a secondary data source. So usually cheap to obtain. It gives you the basic nature of the market, and it's important in assisting with planning with primary research. It'll guide and direct what you need to find out specifically for your firm, your organisation. You can get it quickly, and we can have comparison across different data sources, so the validity of data can be cross-checked. There are disadvantages. Publications may not be updated frequently, they could be out of date. Here in New Zealand the population census is done every 5 years. In the States it's the same. And a lot can happen in 5 years. And because the secondary data is originally collected for another purpose, the data may not be entirely suitable to what your organisation is requiring. There may be, probably not. You'd be able to verify the accuracy and the methods of the data, but sometimes they're unknown. And because of the frequency of these things being updated, you may not be able to completely new product developments, information might not be available to help you there. Primary research. We split these up between qualitative and quantitative research. Right, qualitative, we define it as such, research into the in-depth motivations behind consumer buying or opinions. So why? What are the motivations between consumers buying certain products, certain types of products? Where they buy it, when they buy it, what made them buy it? The focus group is the typical qualitative research. A group of people who are asked about their attitude toward a product, service, advertisement, etc. Right. The marketing company, the marketing company or your own organisation, if they have a marketing department, will be able to run focus groups. Get a group of people in, ask them about what you are trying to find out information about, and it's simply not just a number thing. You'll be able to get a good deal of in-depth information out of asking the right questions. Quantitative research, anything we can put a number on. Research that leads to numerical results that can be presented and analysed. Consumer surveys are typical. And we need to be able to define test marketing. That's marketing a new product in a geographical region before full-scale launch. Focus groups, this is what typifies good qualitative research. Go to IV.businessmanagement.com and watch the Mad Men focus group, that television program Mad Men, about an advertising agency in Manhattan. What are the advantages? The advantages, this is for primary data sources, ignore that in the PowerPoint, sorry. Primary data sources, what are the advantages? They're up to date and therefore more useful than secondary data. Confidential, which is great. No other business has access to the data. Your competitors can't see what you've found out. Your competitors now don't have your insights into the market. And it's especially relevant, right? Because it's been collected specifically for the purpose. You've undertaken the research. You've asked the questions. You've targeted that research at finding out what you want to know. Disadvantages, it can be costly. It can be costly in terms of the time taken to do effective primary market research. And if you're employing a market research agency, again, that's money. That's money that's going to cost you. And there may be doubts over the accuracy and validity, especially sampling errors. Sampling methods, this is high level. Sampling methods, it's usually impossible to get your information from a whole population, a whole market. There's no way you can know what the whole state of California, every single person in that market is thinking, what opinions they have. We need to go and get a small representative sample out of their whole population for the purposes of our primary research. So who are we going to select, what are we going to ask them, and what costs are involved? Quota sampling is the first sampling method we're going to look at. Right, quota sampling is based on market segmentation. So it's grouping research respondents according to some sort of shared characteristics such as their age, their gender, or occupation. And it's most commonly used sampling method in market research. So if our market comprises 60-30-10% split, 60% of our market are teenagers, 30% are young working professionals, and 10% retirees or older segment of the population. We need to get a representative sample from the population. Right. Quota sampling, market segmentation, we look at our teenagers, we make sure 60% of our sample are teenagers, 30% are these young professionals, 30% of our sample are going to be young professionals, 10% are elderly retirees. We make sure that 10% of our sample population are elderly retirees. Right, advantages and disadvantages. The advantage of using quota sampling is that a relatively representative sample can be obtained quickly and cheaply. The findings are going to be more reliable than simply asking anyone on a random basis to participate in the research. A disadvantage, the number of people interviewed in each segment and how randomly they're chosen for interview are not always representative of the population. So, for example, if a research had a quota of 100 female customers to interview, the first 100 female customers may be asked to take part in the research without considering whether these respondents are representative of the population. So sampling errors can start to creep in. Random sampling. Random sampling, sometimes